I like to challenge myself and I like to grow. And I think a lot of people think that you have to be very outgoing and a big extrovert to do well in real estate. But it's so true what you said. There is space even for introverts because we've got a different way of connecting with people.
I used to chase the ROI all the time, return on investment. And over the course of time, that has evolved into what I call return on life. Welcome everyone to the show. This is Randy Dick, and this is Return on Life. Not return on investment, but return on life, ROL. And so it's all about how do we get the most out of life. And I've got this great guest that I met back in February. I traveled all the way to South Africa and I fell in love, not with the country, but I did fall in love with the country too. But I really fell in love with the people. And one of those great people that I met was Lizna Nell. Lizna is an incredible agent with EXP, top 50 globally. They think about that. She's in the top 50 globally of the world with EXP Realty. And we just connected on such an amazing level, whether it be personal stuff, business stuff, or just life. And so I'm just so excited to have Lizna with us today on Return on Life podcast. Welcome here, Lizna.
Thank you so much, Randy. Thank you for having me. It was one of my most positive moments of this year. Meeting with you, sitting down with you and Jennifer Jones, and just having that conversation, and not just the visit that you paid, but everything that you guys gave, like so much love and education and just some of your heart and your soul to us. So it was such a heartwarming experience, and I just feel like I've made a friend for life.
Well, I feel the same way, not only about you, Lizna, but just so many of the people I met in Cape Town and around South Africa as we, toured and went on safaris and all that kind of good stuff. But it was really so warm from the people to the country, and so I'm just grateful that you're here on my podcast today. When you hear Return on Life, and I know you've done many things, and maybe you want to kind of run through some of the things that you've done, and now you're doing what we love to do, which is help people buy and sell real estate. How does Return on Life fit into all of that?
Sure. I think return on life is like the bigger picture. It is what we do for a living. And it's such a true saying that when you love what you do, you're not working a day in your life. And I remember being younger and always hearing that. And I was like, this can't be true. I mean, work is work, and then the rest is the rest. And I feel that now I have found my place, like within real estate and within this company where I've got this family of different agents and globally around us, different people that we collaborate with, and the buyers and the sellers that we get to work with in the market. I really feel like I make a positive change in someone's life when we cross paths. And for me, that is return on life. For me, that is me feeling like I've got a purpose and I really live a life where, whether it's with my kids or whether it's in the workplace, I'm so fulfilled because I've got the ability to make a change and positively contribute to people's lives.
I love that. I love that answer. And do you contribute that to just, I mean, real estate is one of those massive moments for people. It's that great big, wow, we're buying a house. Is it that moment, or is it just the moment that you get to serve and help people?
It definitely, for me, is, I think that moment doesn't really even feature with me. For me, it's the small moments. It is the anticipation of them having to sell, because very often they've lived in that home for years. It encapsulates all of their memories and their family growing up and how their life is changing, that they need to make this move. Or I think after COVID, we all dealt with a lot of people that had loss in their life and a lot of things that changed. And for me, being able to walk that road with them, be part of that journey to make that transition for them smoother and easier, for me, that's the real goal. It's not really, the big moment is nice, but I feel like that's just like a little glimpse. For me, it is that journey from the seller side and also from the buyer side, where they're making this big leap into this new life and what they want, and how they're either growing or when someone is downsizing. Like, it's the journey more than a sparkle of a big moment for me.
I love that. I love that, the journey. And, for a lot of people, it would be that money making moment, but money making moments really are magic making moments, and how we can bring magic into that moment for people, and not emphasize the money, but emphasize the magic of the moment. And I sense that, 100% from you. From the time I met you to watching you interact with people, I just know it's about the magical moments that you can create through the journeys that you walk with people. And
I love that, Randy. Yeah, I always think the money is like a byproduct. If someone focuses on that, you're missing the point, because I can't see any happiness coming from that. I think the byproduct comes when you do enjoy the journey.
hmm, happiness. I mean, you've touched on that a number of times, the journey, the happiness, the moment. Um, we meet so many people when we're helping people buy and sell real estate, and you can meet them at such different levels. Some it's just so easy. The next one, they're struggling with something, like life just isn't working out well for them for whatever reason. Could be relationships, it could be money, it could be just that they're just don't have the right mindset. How do you enter those stories and then create a better story?
I think with caution, I think that's always for me. I can't just bombard into someone's life. I personally feel as if my home is a very private space for me, and I think that's for everyone. It's a sanctuary. It's a place where we can really just put our shoes down at the end of the day, have some fun, just be whoever we are. So I'm very aware of that when I go into working mainly in residential. When I go into a property, it's not just a building, which is the physical thing that is part of the transaction, but for me it's the home, it's the people. So my goal always is to go in there and for me to try and settle into their home, feel comfortable with them feeling comfortable with me, because that then allows me to become part of that journey and to become a pillar of support for the people. Doesn't matter which phase of their life that they're in, but if we can build this close relationship where I trust them and they trust me, I could really be of service for them during that process, whatever it is, whether it is a growth and a high in their life, new baby arriving and they need a bigger house, or whether it is a loss and they need to, or a separation or a divorce and they need to go smaller. um, Whatever that story is, we are, at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and I feel like your home is your little safe haven. So I go in there with the utmost respect for the family and for their privacy and for the way they like to live their life, because everyone is different and I need to fit into their home, not them into my plan of doing things.
Hmm. A couple key words I heard there, some spoken, some not, but trust. You talked about trust, and trust is such an amazing piece that we need to bring into every situation that we're in. And can the people that we're actually working with sense that we are here as a trust agent for them? And can they trust us, and can we trust them? It's just such an important piece. And then the other nonverbal thing that you said is you're listening, you're hearing them. And when people are heard, loved, and seen, magic happens. And I really believe that's who you are. How do you make that happen so effortlessly and so easily? Because I've seen you in a crowd networking, and you just make that happen. You hear, you see, and you make them feel that they've been understood.
It's funny for me when you say that, Randy, because I look at myself and I see an introvert, someone that when I was younger, very shy and really not comfortable when there is a large crowd of people. Um, I'm definitely someone that enjoys close relationship, maybe with less people rather than more, but really pour myself into a relationship, whether that be a client or a personal relationship. So for me I just love people. Like, I have love for human beings. So for me to just always think of that and focus on that, I think that kind of propels me forward to not feel nervous or scared or anxious when there's people and I don't know them, to just mingle and enjoy them. And I think that for me, that is like all my puzzle pieces has come together with an EXP. Last year, I did a Gallup's talent test that I haven't heard before. I've done like disc profilers and all sorts of interesting
Yeah.
things. And it was so interesting to look at what that said to be my top five talents. So one of them is connectedness. I enjoy connecting with people. Um, and I do feel like in real estate and within this company, it allows for that because we are around human beings and we get opportunity to connect and really see what service you can be for that person and how you can maybe bring them out of their shell a little bit. When sometimes you thought you were the shy one, it gives you the opportunity to actually give them that platform and be comfortable to be themselves.
That's incredible. I was just going to ask you what you thought your greatest gift was, and you just said it. It's connecting with one another and that connectiveness. And there is hope for everybody. You can be an introvert and still be outgoing and connecting. So there's lots of hope for all of us if you're an introvert and you're thinking about real estate. So that's great. Being an introvert that you said, there must be moments though that you go, oh my goodness, and fear steps in. How do you overcome that fear? And do you use that as a motivator or as a friend, as a foe? How does that work for you when you feel those fearful moments?
I love that question, Randy. I think as we grow and develop our personal self, we get comfortable with what we can do and what we've done in the past. And sometimes something will propel you to feel more confident in the future. Um, for example, people find it fascinating that I would rather speak on a stage in front of a lot of people than go into a group of 10 people that I don't know. I find a lot more anxiety in that than speaking on the stage with 5,000 people in front of me. Doesn't faze me a little bit. So I do think maybe it's with the connectedness. I like to connect to people, and that allows me to do that. And it's quite easy for me. Whereas when I walk into a group of 10, it's almost like, it's very personal and I want to get more personal with you, but I cannot do that with 10 people face to face or belly to belly immediately. So you almost feel a bit of awkwardness. Where do I start? Where do I go? Um, I would say for me, that is something that has empowered me because every time that you do something that gives you a little bit of butterflies in your belly or you feel less comfortable with, and you overcome that fear, it makes it so much easier the next time coming around to go like, oh, I was okay, I can do this. It's not that bad. So I like to challenge myself and I like to grow. And I believe, like you said before, there is space for us in anything and even in real estate. I think a lot of people think that you have to be very outgoing and a big extrovert to do well in real estate. But it's so true what you said. There is space even for introverts because we've got a different way of connecting with people. That we just, if we are comfortable with who we are, I think that we can really make that work for ourselves. Doesn't matter what your personality is like.
Awesome. And yes, you are very good. You're a very good speaker. I really enjoyed listening to you at Build Africa, and you are a great speaker. So, and you really, a lot of introverts are very good speakers as well. So
That's interesting.
an absolute theme to that. Let's shift gears a little bit. Let's shift gears and get a little bit more proactive on your day. Is there a daily routine that you do, or what does your daily routine look like for it to have success stamped on it at the end of the day?
100%. I think one of my things is routine. I am a creature of habit, and I feel like the more good habits we get, the better we do. Consistency is definitely key for me. So yeah, my days normally start. I've got two young ones at school. One is in primary, one just went to high school. So obviously the normal routine is getting the kids ready for school. But because they are a little bit bigger, they don't need me to hold their hands. So that also gives me a time to kind of just find my feet for the day. What are my appointments like? What's going to happen while everything else is happening? And I would say from 7 o'clock in the morning, I'm busy. I'm busy with emails and whatever. The kids go to school at 7. So from there on, my day basically starts. And it's normally a bit of administration. You can't speak to people that early in the morning, but emails and some admin and tasks for the day kind of gets you going and gets you set up. I do think with the agents that I'm busy with, together with the clientele, there's always some administration and some support that you can give, and some WhatsApps to catch up on. Sometimes I'll put my phone in flight mode and I'll answer a lot of messages so they don't go off at random times to people. So that kind of gives me a little bit of an opportunity to do it at different times. And I find my days to always be very fully booked from that time in the morning until, depending on whether it's summer or winter here. We are starting on our winter time, which obviously it gets dark quite a bit sooner. And even though this evening I had appointments up until, I think I arrived home like about 6:30, I do see that reduced during the winter time because people want to snuggle in a bit earlier. But I would say since starting 7 o'clock in the morning until I finish last viewing or appointments with agent meetings and online meetings and coffee dates here and there, the day goes pretty quickly. It's always back to back, and it's the way I like it. It's fun.
That's awesome. There's an analogy between cooking and baking, even though they're much the same. They're both done in kitchens. They both use a stove or an oven in this case. But baking requires it to be very calculated because you can, do a recipe and it doesn't turn out. Where cooking, you can like sample it and add this and add that. What kind of a day do you run? Are you the cook or are you the baker?
Definitely the cook. 100% the cook. I would like to be the baker. So in my plans, I'm always the baker. But when reality hits, I'm definitely the cook. I'm definitely the cook because there's always so many unexpected things. I mean, you get a buyer to call you or a seller that on last minute decided, okay, they are going to accept the offer or going to make a counter offer. I mean, just looking at today, I probably had about 5 additions to the day that wasn't planned for in the morning, but I found the time, and you slot things around and you make it work and not lose out on the opportunity if it comes across your desk.
Mm-hmm. Relationships, and I'll share this a little bit. I find that a busy agent, which of course I'm a very busy agent as well, like you, is that I have a lot of relationships, but I have very few friends because it's such a busy life and just being so active. So a lot of acquaintances. And then you have to focus in on family. I know you've got 2 children. Daniel, your husband's also in real estate. How do you make that all work? Because that can be its own jigsaw puzzle, its own challenge beyond just doing real estate. How do you make that all work in your family?
Randy, it's an interesting one. So I think up until I would say a year ago, I always felt like I'm unbalanced, like I need balance. And then I always believe we should have mentors and coaches in our life. So I've got a lovely gentleman that I like to spend time with. He doesn't like to be called a coach or a mentor. He's saying he's just a friend, but I definitely see him as one. And I had this conversation with him. His name is Stephen Levy. So I had this conversation and I said, Stephen, I just want to be more balanced. And he said, Lisna, let's talk about balance, because people often think of balance as if you've got a full circle and you do divide it in 4 quarters, that's balance. He said, but balance is also where you get joy from in life. So if your work is giving you joy and fruit for life, and so is spending time with your kids. As your kids grow up, they need less time from you. So you trying to divide it into these equal shares and equal bits is actually not a realistic thing. You need to find what is your balance. And your balance could be spending this amount of time with your husband, this amount of time with your kids, and this amount of time with agents or buyers or sellers. And it might not look like equal bits. But if you've lived your full life today and you have served all of those people fairly in your life, then you are balanced. So I feel more happy since I've got that analogy, because I'm not trying to reach this point that I feel is almost impossible. where I actually want to sit my 13-year-old son down because I want you to spend more time with me so that it can be balanced, because they've also got their own life and their things that they're doing. And I'm definitely finding that in a lot of areas, I give the quality over quantity, and I get more or exactly the same amount of satisfaction out of that time spent. I can be a bit of an extremist, so like all or nothing. So, for
Like
example,
all
this
like all top producers.
I love it. So this weekend, actually, I had a show house on Saturday, and then straight after that, me and Daniel went to a place called Sondagskloof. It's about 2.5 hours out of Cape Town. It's this cabin with a hot tub in the middle of the woods that's off solar and eco living, and we were there until Tuesday morning, and then we got back in the afternoon. My appointment started again, but that complete break from Saturday afternoon till Tuesday for us to spend time together. Actually also had the kids at home with their exams, and a sitter with them, someone that's taking care of them, so their routine continued, but it was just good quality time for us. So I think that kind of gives you a glimpse. Like when I'm busy with property, I'm all in there. And when I'm busy with my kids, I'm all in there. And when it's time for me and my husband, I'm all in there. So I really try to spend quality time when I do spend it with the people that I do. But I also find that my job that I do, and whether that's with agents or buyers or sellers, it is a purposeful living. I've got a role to fulfill there, and it's not just to sell a property. And that makes my heart full, and it makes me full of gratitude for the life that I get to live. And that for me is really rewarding.
Hmm. Great answer. Great answer, Lisna. I'm really into this new concept of 10-year thinking, 10-year goals, 10-year thinking, and always reviewing that. And part of that is also looking at life and balance and who's in my life and who should be in my life and who shouldn't be in my life. Success is about subtraction. Think about that.
Love that.
Success is about subtraction. And so I think sometimes we can try and do too many things or have too many people in our lives, and yet we're just now doing just the minimal work rather than the maximum work on things. So does that resonate with you? 10-year thinking,
Definitely does.
success
Even
is
when you
subtraction?
said you're about a lot of acquaintances but very little friends, that is so me, because um, that time that I could spend with more people, I choose to spend with my family. Those are my people. And the close friends that I've got, I've had them as close friends since I was in primary school. Like we've got long existing relationships, and I might just speak to them twice a year, but that's a quality relationship that is ongoing, and that I would be friends with them forever. But 100%, I can relate so much to what you're saying.
Hmm. Awesome. Let's talk a little bit about the journey moving forward, since we introduced the 10-year thinking. And where is Lisna going to be in 10 years, or where would you like to be in 10 years?
Love thinking about this, because I'm also obviously in the back of my mind, I'm like looking at my kids, my son just going to high school. I'm like, oh my word, I've got 5 years now, 4.5 years left with you being a school child in my household. And I think for any mom, they can relate it, and dad as well. It's so fast. The kids grow up so fast. I remember taking him to high school in the beginning of this year, and I was thinking, you had colleague just the other day. Like, what happened? The time goes so quickly. So I always think of where the kids would be, and where they would be in their life. So obviously that would kind of pull me in a direction as well, because you always want to stay close to the people that you love and care about, and that's close to you. On a work I want to say on a work level, I definitely think that my EXP revenue share group would have grown so much that I am able to not worry about the sale of a property. I would be able to assist more agents to become more effective in them selling properties, and hopefully get to spend some time abroad. I've traveled when I was younger. I've always enjoyed that, but spend some time abroad, make new friends, grow revenue share team, but also have an impact on lives in other countries and continents that I could have a role and play a role in.
I love that. I love that. I'm always working at QTR, quality time remaining. And you just talked about your son. So you only have so many years left, quality time remaining at home with your son. We only have so much QTR in our own lives. And how do we make that work? And of course, you and I are both at EXP. And whether there's a listener on here that is not with EXP or thinking about EXP, what we can create through the revenue share piece is just a phenomenal QTR pension plan that we get to actually enjoy QTR more than anybody else in real estate because of what revenue share does for us. And so I'm excited about that for you. I know you've got about 150 people in your organization right now, 150 great agents, and obviously that's going to grow, over the years. So really excited to see how that transforms and builds up for you. What are you facing right now as challenges? What are some of the biggest challenges? I know you've just had an election. I know the market is a little bit tougher, but what are some of the other challenges, or maybe it's just all market challenges, or maybe it's just business challenges that you're facing right now?
I do think the market's a little bit challenging around the election time for us in South Africa. However, there's also a shift, I think, globally, straight after the COVID. Obviously, everyone always refers back, it's almost like a chapter, you refer back to that. Straight after that, the market was so hot. I mean, something would hit the market, it'll be gone even before it's been properly advertised or marketed. So I think changing from that hot sellers market to definitely going on our side now being a full on buyers market, you have to change your strategy and the way that you look at things. But for me, that summarizes real estate. Like, if you are not willing to change and move with the times and figure out what's going on in the market, then real estate's never going to be for you. So even though you can see them as challenges, I always enjoy a challenge, and I enjoy something that changes. If something becomes monotonous for me, then I get bored. So yeah, that definitely is something that always keeps me on my toes, but that I also enjoy. And I just see that if you stay consistent, no matter what the market conditions are, and I think if you are positive and strong in your mind, your sales always happen. So for me, even though I see the market shift and I see the changes, my sales aren't stopping. They're not slowing down. I might have to put a little bit more work in and a couple more conversations into them, but they're still carrying on, which for me is a very positive thing rather than a challenge, because it just shows you that if you make the effort and you put the right tools and things in, you can be a real estate agent in any type of market.
So true. So true. And that's really exciting that you've been able to carry that through. What are maybe, if you could pass on 1, 2, 3, like, I call them secret sauces, but just things that you do that just keep moving, the needle, moving the business along. Are there any 1, 2, 3 things that you would encourage the listeners to take
I
on?
think, I think a CRM and a database, like your database of clients is key. For me, that's the foundation of my business. And those are the people that I'm always looking for an opportunity for exposure with. So we all know the 33 contact points for someone to choose you as their service provider. So I find different ways that I check in with people, that I share information, that I socialize with them within the community. So my database and my networking platform is very important for me. I would say something that I find challenging within my agent team is for me to bring them to the realization of how important that is, that you stay on top of that contact database, that you build that up continuously. So actually what we're doing in-house in our branded team at the moment is, for the month of June, if they manage to grow with all the tools that we give them, their contact base with 1,000, then we'll assist them to grow it with another 1,000 after the end of June. So for me, I know their success would lie in that database and the growth of that. So that's something that I always stress with the agents, because I don't originally come from Cape Town. I come from more in the Northern Cape, which is more inland. And we all know, as real estate agents, you need to know your area and you need to be known in your area. So I find that having that CRM and having that database and also having the necessary tools to interact with people and to stay top of mind has given me the ability to actually, in an unknown area where, let's say, I wasn't born and bred in Cape Town City, I was able to build up a network and become a really successful agent just by really working consistently on that database. That is my foundation.
I love that. I love that. The database is everything. Every new agent that joins my organization or that I coach and mentor, I always just say, listen, the database is everything. And before you do any thinking about helping somebody buy or sell real estate, we're going to build out your database. And
That's
it's going
it.
to be detailed, and it's going to have every possible thing in it, from the type of house they live in, what way it faces, how many car garage it has. Like, all of those details are so important, because you get busy and then you have the opportunity to go back into your database and find the perfect property for another buyer, another seller, whatever it may be, because your database is so well put together. And then, of course, you've got your campaign. So love it, love it, love it.
Definitely. I would say the second point, you've actually just brought up the word, saying like we can all be busy. And what I do spend a lot of time on is myself, but also for the agents to try and help them, is what are you busy with? Because as agents, we can be super busy
Mm.
with things that does not have the necessary impact, that's not going to steer you forward in the right direction where you want to be. There can be a lot of distractions and a lot of things we can keep ourselves busy with, but then there can be those tasks that really propels you forward, and ensure that you're going to get mandates and that you're going to get sales to close on. So what you keep yourself busy with, for me, is also super important. And I think that comes with something in a society that we live in now, with all of the technology that's available. I mean, mobile phones, I always used to say a mobile phone should be for my convenience, not for everyone else's, because otherwise people would keep you busy on it 24/7, and you might think you're productive, but you're actually not productive at all. So I think to sometimes step out of going along with the rat race, because this one's looking for you and now that needs to happen and then that needs to happen. So even though I try to be the baker and the cooking happens, I can also move my head away from the cooking and go, no, I'm not going to get this distracted. And this is priority for me to reach the goals that I want to reach, and then prioritize those tasks.
Love it, love it. Let's move on to some vision leadership. Who are your mentors? Who has influenced you, made you a better person, a better agent, a better mother, a better wife?
I love that. So I think in my life, I've always had, let's say, two sides, like a little scale. I'll see the one side that's a very positive influence, and I'm like, sure, I really love what that person's doing, how they're carrying themselves, how they do tasks, whatever they do, how they are in the community. And then on the other side, sometimes you come across people where you're like, oh, I don't want to be like that. Like, I don't want to react like that when people do things. Even when someone says something hurtful to me, I don't want to react in a way that they have made me react. So I've got this thing that I've been saying to myself, to say, I won't change who I am because of who you are. And I think in our industry, that's so important to always stay true to who you are, because sometimes people can entice you to maybe act out of who you are as a person, or to do something that you look back tomorrow and you're like, I don't know why I said that or reacted like that. That's not me. That's not who I am in my heart. So I've worked very hard on growing myself. I think since I was young, I was always looking for guidance and people that I look up to, whether that be a manager in a spa or in the head office of a company that I'm working for, or whether that be my mom and the love that she's got for the four kids. I'm like, I've got two and they keep me busy. So having four is a whole different story. or whether it be a business professional that I take on. So I do have this gentleman, Stephen Levy from Dare to Be, that has started last year in coaching me. And it's something that I've tried before, but I do believe it should be such a nice match in personality. And Stephen is so good at making me realize what I'm actually thinking without him telling me what I'm thinking, or making me feel like I can trust my gut and
Mm.
the picture that I've got and the plan that I've got is okay and I should just follow through with that. So I do definitely moving forward still see a lot of involvement with him. And then let's call them mentors or coaches or people I adore from a distance, such as Glenn Stanford. I mean, we can't look at him and not be in awe of who this man is, in his personality, in his life. I mean, when he was in South Africa in February, I remember asking him about agent centric, because for me, I didn't know what agent centric was before I joined EXP, and I kept on hearing it. And I was like, sure, this is a real cool thing. I love it. And when I asked him about that, he immediately brought up Zig Ziglar's saying of, you can have anything in life that you want as long as you keep on helping more people. And I feel like that speaks so true to his heart and what he does and what he set up for us to have such a life-changing experience and opportunity in our lives. I mean, I've been in business, I'm an entrepreneur, I've opened businesses that I've sold off later, but I've never had an opportunity that really and truly in such a short period of time has been so life-changing. I mean, I've only been in EXP for 2.5 years now. And if I look how much my life has changed and people around me's lives have changed, and that I've been able to be a part of that transition for them, it's just put me in awe, and it's made me so positive and just so happy that if this is 2.5 years, can you imagine 10 years in? Like, it just makes me excited all the time.
Mm, love that. Love that. Well, let's finish off with a bit of a speed round. So just a few quick questions and we'll finish this off. So it's been so fun, so insightful. So first question, fine dining, Uber Eats, takeout, or home cooked meal, or maybe I should say a braai, a barbecue.
Of a braai.
A
Is it
braai
the one that I pick?
for me?
Is it the one that I pick?
Yeah, what would you pick?
I've actually been saying to my husband, I'm dying to do fine dining, but it's because it's something that I don't often do. I don't even remember when last, but I think for us, a traditional home cooked braai at home, having some family over or just with our family. Actually, tonight, when I came from my viewings, Daniel had a braai. So it's a
Oh,
middle of the week or an anytime thing.
awesome, awesome. What do you do to just like chill out, let your hair down? You mentioned about going to this beautiful little cabin in the woods, but what do you do if you've got, 4 or 5 hours? It's just all about Lisna.
Love reading books. I have been such a bookworm since I was young, so I would have to say books. I love reading.
Fictional or self-help or
Both of those topics that you just mentioned, both are, it will be a pick between the two.
okay. Awesome, awesome. Do you enjoy music?
Love music. My daughter is such a little musical cultural thing. So we are having a lot of fun together, whether she's singing in the shower. I heard her, yeah, when we started this earlier, and I was like, oh, I hope she's not too loud. She is always singing. Love music. I feel like it kind of like warms your heart up. I love putting music on in the morning to set the vibe. Amazing.
Who's your favorite band?
Oh my word. I'm the golden oldies girl. I go back to U2 and Bruce Springsteen and like the ones that you just don't see anymore. If I say those to my kids, they're like, who are you talking about?
Oh, I love U2 as well. U2 is my favorite band, by the way. Um,
They are amazing.
do you prefer text, email, or calls, or in person? What would you prefer?
I prefer in person, but I think to be economic on time, probably text. We use WhatsApp a lot in South Africa,
Yes.
rather than text messages, and that's my most communicative thing every day.
Okay, awesome. Audible or book? I think it's going to be book from what you said.
Book. Yeah, 100%. Always books.
Okay, book it is. Last question. If you were a scratch and sniff sticker, a scratch and sniff sticker, if I came up to you and scratched you on your shoulder, what would I smell?
Love.
Love. Uh,
Love. You would smell love, definitely.
well, and I can absolutely attest to that because I experienced so much love from you and just everybody in Cape Town when I was there at the Build event. So just so grateful to have you on the Return on Life podcast, Lisna.
Thank you so much for having me, Randy. Thanks for this invite. Thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your mentorship. I said to everyone when I got to spend an hour with you in Cape Town, I've never had such a fast hour in my life. I mean, just our one-to-one time. We were blessed with all the additional time, but that hour felt like 10 minutes because the amount of knowledge and the amount of love and guidance that you just poured out in that little bit of time when I was a complete stranger to you, I would forever hold that close to my heart.
Oh, that's so great of you. Well, I'm doing a master performance class on a great platform called Resas, and that is available to you as well. I'll make sure to put it in the link below, but I'll reach out to you later about this. It's a master performance class that I'm starting here in the next 2 weeks. And so love for you to
Amazing.
be a student there as well.
I would love that, Randy. Thank you so much. Yeah, I would love that. That sounds amazing.
Okay. Hey, thank you so much. Amazing guest. Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
Thanks a lot, Randy. Chat soon.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye bye.